For months, the first great pleasure excursion to Europe and the Holy Land was chatted about everywhere in America. It was to be a picnic on a gigantic scale. The participants were to sail over the breezy Atlantic and the sunny Mediterranean to take a royal holiday in places renowned in history. It was the spring of 1867. I was writing for the Alta California, a newspaper in San Francisco, and I thought it'd be an attractive scheme if I went along on the voyage as their correspondent.
Mark Twain Classics. Join America's favorite storyteller on 5 separate journeys, from his early years on the Mississippi to the farthest corners of the world in the imagination. This series of highly acclaimed programs brings the timeless wit and wisdom of Mark Twain to life in a brilliantly filmed collection for all ages. Ken Howard stars as Pudd'nhead Wilson, an eccentric small-town lawyer in the pre-abolition South, whose quirky humor covers a strong sense of justice and human compassion.
Pudd'nhead? Why, with a name like that and the reputation that goes along with it, a feller can nonsensify all he wants to. Never mind what he writes, folks hold it a marvel that he got the pen across the paper without tipping the ink pot on the carpet.
He befriends Roxy, a young slave.
Same as that other wench.
But she's white.
In the face, maybe, not in the blood.
She cares for 2 babies, her master's son, Tom, and her own. A mother's love in troubled times leads to an intriguing tale of mistaken identities.
Why, he never once said you and him is like enough to pass for twins.
Chambers, I'm driving the Phaeton.
Oh, yes, sir.
You're to be my body servant.
But yes, sir, Master.
You should stay close to me at all times.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord. I've been sold down to river. I can't leave
What
my
did I tell you?
This isn't a bill of sale, it's a death warrant.
Only Pudd'nhead Wilson can untangle the web of deception and prejudice that human folly weaves in this tale of a troubled America before the Civil War. Ken Howard as Mark Twain's Pudd'nhead Wilson. The Innocents Abroad, a tale of the world seen through the irreverent eyes and incomparable wit of Mark Twain.
They're sending me to Venice, Rome, Athens, Paris. The only place in the world to be is Europe. Katie, I'm taking the grand tour.
Craig Wasson stars in this hilarious tale based on Twain's real-life adventures abroad as a young journalist.
Oh, hell.
Reporting on the marvels of Europe, American style.
Czar, we just want to thank you for having us over.
I am very good.
Brooke Adams is Julia, a liberated American writer who adds a touch of romance to Twain's travels.
Mark,
I wasn't fooling when I say it isn't for ladies.
that's just an excuse for men having all the fun yourselves.
The delightful doctor with the wit and drinking capacity to match Twain's is David Ogden Steers.
May I prescribe some of the very dry champagne I've stocked aboard for just such emergencies?
Another immoral man on board.
That's right.
Glory be.
Join this congenial threesome on their riotous journeys abroad. American humor meets old world tradition head on. Come along for the ride in Mark Twain's hilarious The Innocents Abroad. The private history of a campaign that failed. Mark Twain's fictionalized account of his own inglorious military career in the Confederate militia.
Ab, what are you doing here?
I'm going with you.
Like fish you are. What's going on? Well, it's my little brother. He's come to join up with us. Too small. Anyway, Rangers is full up.
When I tell you what I heard in town, you'll let me all right.
What are you talking about?
Yankees, that's what.
Pat Hingle stars with a fine ensemble of 15 young actors who make up the naive Marion Rangers.
There is nothing that grows on that vine that's sweeter than the smell of burning powder.
Bravado, patriotism, and high spirits turn to panic and disgrace when the realities of battle reach this small corner of the American Civil War. Featuring Edward Herman in a stirring epilogue presentation of Twain's bitterly anti-war war prayer. Mark Twain's The Private History of a Campaign That Failed. A printer's apprentice from Missouri daydreams himself into a medieval castle in Mark Twain's ironic, irreverent fantasy, The Mysterious Stranger.
I don't have such nonsense at my table. Go and sit down, boy. And
Starring Chris Makepeace as the young apprentice. Fred Gwynne as the bumbling sorcerer.
I may be forced to invoke the Prince of Darkness.
And as the mysterious stranger, a magical youth with fascinating powers, Lance Kerwin.
Who are you?
He's beautiful.
In fact, I'm delighted you've come to see me. Shall we be friends?
If you like.
It's a bit cramped here. Shall we go somewhere better?
If you like.
Pleasanter here, don't you think?
I think I must be seeing things.
Well, perhaps you'd prefer this.
How did we get here?
I brought us.
Playing, Hoffman?
I just thought I'd get dressed up today. We're not going back to work, are we?
Now look.
Lance Kerwin, Chris Makepeace, and Fred Gwynne in an enchanting, fun-filled romp through Twain's delightful fable about the power of imagination. The Mysterious Stranger. Mark Twain's life on the Mississippi, where the glorious days of the 1850s riverboats come to life once again.
How would you like to learn a young man the river?
I wouldn't.
Well, you see,
Said I wouldn't.
Based on Twain's own warm remembrances of his life as Cub pilot Sam Clemens. Robert Lansing is the veteran riverboat pilot Horace Bixby, who gives Sam the chance of a lifetime when he takes him on as an apprentice. In learning to master the mighty Mississippi, the young man found a future pen name for himself in the jargon of the river.
Mark Twain!
All right, now drop that. I tell a man I'll learn in the river, I mean it. You can depend on it. I'll learn it. Or I'll kill him.
A bygone era, recaptured in all of its glory. Mark Twain's own Life on the Mississippi. Now, for the first time, 5 classic stories from America's beloved Mark Twain are available on video cassette. As Twain's written works have been handed down from generation to generation, the Mark Twain Classics on Video will now provide a living library to be enjoyed by the entire family for years to come. Pudd'nhead Wilson, The Innocents Abroad, The Private History of a Campaign That Failed, The Mysterious Stranger, and Life on the Mississippi. The Mark Twain Classics.